Hello, beautiful, beautiful black people. I hope that this day was a very, very, very good day for you and all of your wonderful, wonderful, wonderful black loved ones. My beautiful, intelligent black brothers and sisters. Know that the peaceful, organized protests that are now happening all across this plantation called America is necessary, it is warranted, and regardless of what a racist bastard, small-minded, empty vessel like Trump and Bill Barr say, the overwhelming majority of those protests are peaceful, organized, and the participants are serious protesters that are fed up. There is definitely a timeline of events that we should take a look at. This timeline of events has led us to where we are today on June 1st of 2020. This timeline is a timeline of tragedies, of violence, of murder, things being done to black folks, people that look like me. These things in this timeline has led us to this fed up uprising that is occurring right now on this plantation called America. Without the proper context, it is impossible to understand the mushrooming of these uprisings that are exploding across this plantation called America in the aftermath of the public lynching, the public suffocation, the public murder of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and Ahmaud Arbery, and countless others, my beautiful, intelligent black brothers and sisters. The anger, the frustration, and desperation that forced these protesters to recreate the lawlessness and chaos that black folks, people that look like me, have experienced on a daily basis and will experience going forward unless we force change from the bottom up. The root cause has created a timeline of these events that led up to black folks, people that look like me, collectively saying, we are fed up. Look at August 1619. August 1619. The White Lion 160-ton Dutch privateer ship flying a British flag landed at Comfort Point in the state of Virginia, loaded with 20 plus black folks, people that look like me, to be exchanged for food and the best rate that white folks would pay for those African slaves. Look at the year 1636. Boston creates the Night Watch, which would become the first police force in America, consisting of KKK members, KKK sympathizers, KKK white supremacists, white supremacists, white supremacists. In June of 1640, Virginia's General Court created what many folks are calling the nation's first slave when the court condemned John Punch, Punch, an African, to a life sentence of servitude because he was black. He was black like me. He was black like me. John Punch, Punch, one of the original white lion Africans, had run away from his master along with an indentured Dutch servant and an indentured English servant. When they were found and brought back to their master, a judge, white judge, ordered the three deserters to be whipped 30 times each. The Dutchman and the Englishman was sentenced to a 1-year extension on their indentured servitude contract. But John Punch, the African, the black man, received a different sentence. There were many events that led up to the fed up rising of 2020. We are experiencing a fed up rising, my beautiful, intelligent black brothers and sisters. In 1669, Virginia legislature passes an act about the casual killing of slaves. Remember that. These white folks passed a law giving them the ability to casually kill slaves, our ancestors. According to the new law in 1669, masters, white slave owners, who kill their slaves in the act of punishing them bear no responsibility of murder. Derek Chauvin last week and 3 other white racist KKK sympathizers had his knee on Mr. Floyd's neck. 2 other white racist bastards had their weight on his back. They suffocated Mr. Floyd, and they enjoyed it. It was a casual killing, and the system, that contrived plan, have already started to turn the wheels of that plan to protect those white murderers from being prosecuted, from being incarcerated. In 1704, in South Carolina, they created the first modern-day public police force. It was called the Slave Patrol. They were slave catchers. They would catch the slaves, mutilate them, beat them, assault them, sodomize them, rape them, etc., etc. That KKK culture is endemic in all law enforcement agencies all across America, in Minneapolis, in Baltimore, in Atlanta, in New York City, in Los Angeles. In every city, that endemic KKK culture has permeated, and it sits there in all of those white racists, white supremacists that call themselves police officers. These slave owners of 1704 they had 3 functions. They would have to chase down, apprehend, and return runaway slaves to their owners. They would have to provide a form of organized terror to deter slaves from revolting. And they were to maintain a form of discipline for slaves, workers who violated those rules. They could casually kill these slaves, my beautiful, intelligent black brothers and sisters. In September the 9th, 1739, Jimmy, a literate, enslaved Congolese warrior in South Carolina, organized an uprising against white folks that resulted in 25 colonists, white folks, and 35 to 50 Africans, black folks, being killed. The Stono is called the Stono Rebellion, was the largest revolt in the British mainland colonies. In April of 1740, after the Stono, S-T-O-N-O, rebellion in South Carolina, they passed it was called the Negro Law of 1740, making it illegal for enslaved Africans to leave the U.S., making it illegal for the slaves to assemble in groups, making it illegal for the slaves to grow food, to earn money, and learn to write and read. This law also gave the slave owners permission to kill rebellious slaves, and this law remained in effect until 1865, the end of the Civil War. In March 5th, 1770, America's first police brutality protest turned into a riot when British troops charged with policing colonies opened fire on Boston residents. Crispus Attucks, a black man, Crispus Attucks, a black man, is killed during what is now called the Boston Massacre. December 1791, the U.S. Congress, ratifies the Second Amendment to the Constitution, giving Americans white folks, the rights to bear arms. James Madison created the amendment to allay fears of armed black uprising. They wanted to counter the possibility of black slaves uprising and killing them. So they passed this right to bear arms, giving white folks the opportunity to own as many weapons as possible. In March 6, 1857, the Supreme Court issued a verdict in the Dred Scott versus Sanford, in which Chief Justice Roger Taney wrote, "Black Americans had for more than a century before being regarded as being an inferior order and altogether unfit to associate with the white race, either in social or political relations, and so far inferior that they had no rights which the white man was bound to respect." That's the U.S. Supreme Court in March of 1857. April the 12th, 1861. 11 state governments unite to form a white supremacist nation. April the 12th, 1861. 11 state governments unite to form a white supremacist nation, deciding they'd rather stop being Americans than stop enslaving black folks. The Civil War is still the bloodiest war in American history. April the 9th, 1865. White supremacy nations admits it got its ass kicked real good. December the 24th, 1865. A group composed of former Confederate soldiers, slave patrollers, and law enforcement officers formed what was called the Circle of Friends, also known as the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan. July the 9th, 1868, the U.S. ratifies the 14th Amendment, making former slaves African citizens of the United States, unless they were criminalized, unless they were criminals, unless they were criminalized. On July the 9th, 1868, the Ku Klux Klan, the KKK, and white folks organized a national terror campaign that massacres tens of thousands of black folks across the country. January 1877, following mass violence against black Americans and widespread voter fraud, a group of U.S. senators, white folks, and congressmen agreed to settle the results of the 1876 presidential election in exchange for installing Rutherford B. Hayes as president. The cabal, the coup, C-O-U-P, compromise allowed southern states to subjugate black citizens or to subjugate black citizens to make sure that white folks in the South still own and dominated, control black folks. The 2020 uprising is a result of many, many events, my beautiful, intelligent black brothers and sisters. The summer of 1919, widespread riots break out across the U.S. when black folks returned from World War I with a notion of equality. Many of these riots involved police officers, white police officers, and few of the participants of the white lynch mobs were convicted. August 28, 1955, 14-year-old Emmett Till is kidnapped, tortured, killed, wrapped with barbed wire, and thrown into the Tallahatchie River in Money, Mississippi. After Carolyn Bryant, a white woman, told a lie. His murderers are never convicted, even after publicly confessing to the crime. May 14, 1961, Birmingham, Alabama. Police Commissioner Bull Connor, along with the KKK co-conspirators, coordinate an attack on Freedom Riders. Klansmen and recruited racists beat, firebombed, and hospitalized peaceful protesters in Anniston, Alabama. August 12th, 1963, Martin Luther King delivers his I Have a Dream speech at the March on Washington, saying, "We can never be satisfied as long as the black man is the victim of the unspeakable horrors of police brutality." September the 15th, 1963, white supremacists, one of whom was an FBI informant, bombed the 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham, Alabama, killing 4 little black girls. February 18th, 1965, Alabama state troopers shoot Jimmy Lee Jackson, a black man, a nonviolent protester. March 7th, 1965, Alabama state troopers and the KKK attacked 300 nonviolent protesters on the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama. March the 3rd, 1991, a video camera captures 4 Los Angeles Police Department officers beating Rodney King in one of the first viral police brutality videos. April 21st, 1992, a jury acquits the 4 white police officers who beat Rodney King. Riots ensue. February the 23rd, 1999, 4 New York City Police Department white officers shoot and kill 23-year-old Amadou Diallo. The officers were acquitted on all charges. The black man, Amadou Diallo, was shot 39 times. November the 26th, 2006, 7 undercover New York police officers fired more than 50 rounds of ammunition at unarmed black man, Sean Bell, at a bachelor's party. The officers were acquitted on all charges. February the 26th, 2012, 17-year-old Trayvon Martin is stalked. He was stalked, chased, and shot by George Zimmerman after 911 operators told Zimmerman to leave the teenager alone. 6 weeks after the shooting, Zimmerman was arrested and subsequently acquitted of murder. March the 21st, 2012, Chicago police officer Dante Servin shoots unarmed Rekia Boyd, a black woman. Officer Dante Servin shoots unarmed black woman Rekia Boyd, B-O-Y-D. He is acquitted on all charges. July the 17th, 2014, New York City officer Daniel Pantaleo kills Eric Gardner. Pantaleo has never been convicted of a crime. August 9th, 2014, Ferguson, Missouri, officer Darren Wilson shoots and kills 18-year-old Michael Brown Jr. Wilson was never charged with a crime. November the 24th, 2014, Cleveland police officer Timothy Lohman kills 12-year-old Tamir Rice. Lohman is not charged with a crime. April the 14th, 2015, a bystander captures North Charleston, South Carolina police officer Michael Slager, shooting unarmed Walter Scott as Scott runs away during a traffic stop. Scott pleads guilty to federal deprivation of rights under the color of law and was sentenced to 20 years in prison. After April the 12th, 2015, Baltimore resident Freddie Gray was arrested for carrying a knife and died from injuries while being transported to jail. No one involved was convicted of a crime. July 19th, 2015, University of Cincinnati officer Ray Tensing shot and killed Sam DuBois during a traffic stop. Tensing was not convicted of a crime. July the 13th, 2015, Sandra Bland is found hanged in a jail cell after a dash cam captures her brutal arrest by state trooper Brian Encino, who was never convicted of a crime. July 2nd, 2016, St. Anthony, Minnesota, police officer Geronimo Yannick shoots Philando Castile during a traffic stop in which Castile was not driving or committing a crime. Yannick was acquitted of all charges. July 5th, 2016, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Officers shoot 37-year-old Alton Sterling as he lay on the ground, restrained by officers. No one is charged with a crime. August 1st, 2016, moments after authorities coerced Facebook and Instagram to shoot off the live feed for 23-year-old Corey Gaines. Standoff with police. Baltimore County police officer burst into her home and shoot her dead as she holds her son in her arms. No one is convicted of a crime. September 16th, 2016, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Police officer Betty Shelby shoots unarmed Terrence Crutcher as a new news helicopter records the footage. She is acquitted of first-degree manslaughter charges. March the 18th, 2018, Sacramento police officers opened fire on a 23-year-old Stephon Clark, striking him 8 times, 6 of which was in his back. No one was ever charged with the black man's death. September the 6th, 2018, Officer Amber Geiger enters the home of Botham Jean and shoots the black man dead. She is convicted of murder and sentenced to 10 years in prison. October the 12th, 2019, Fort Worth, Texas. Police officer Aaron Dean shoots through the window of 28-year-old Antiana Jefferson, killing her. Dean is fired and charged with murder. February the 23rd, 2020, a vigilante mob in Brunbridge, Georgia, chased down and shoot 23-year-old Ahmaud Arbery, killing him. Travis and Gregory McMichaels have been arrested for his death after more than 2 months of freedom. A third man, William Roddy Bryan, has also been charged after filming the crime. March 13th, 2020, Louisville, Kentucky. Police officer Jonathan Mattingly, Brett Hankinson, and Miles Cosgrove entered the apartment of 26-year-old Breonna Taylor to serve a no-knock warrant on her boyfriend and shot Taylor dead. No one has been charged with a crime. May 25th, 2020, Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin kneels on the neck of George Floyd for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, 2 minutes and 53 seconds of which occurred after Floyd was unconscious. Floyd dies. Chauvin is charged with third-degree murder after 4 days of freedom. 3 officers were present. 2, Teo, Thomas J. Lane, and J. Alexander Kuhn have not been charged. May 27th, 2020, Minneapolis residents say, "Fuck this." May 29th, America says, "Damn right, fuck this." Now, America reaps an infinite amount of microscopic fractions of the racist chaos, violence, and lawlessness it has sown. America has sown this violence and chaos, by years, century of killing, assaulting black folks with impunity. And I would say that today, some of these white cops, murderers, some of those white cops, murderers, some of those white folks, vigilantes that are murdering black folks, some of those motherfuckers are going to reap what they sowed. Some of those motherfuckers are going to reap what they sowed. My beautiful, intelligent black brothers and sisters. That's what I have on this one. Please go to thethrasherway.libsyn.com. There you will have access